Guilt limits us. It keeps us from connecting to love, to life, to joy, to abundance, to health, to success. We feel that we're unworthy, that we don't deserve when we carry guilt. So it's very important that we understand guilt and that we release it so that we don't limit ourselves from enjoying all that is possible in life. I'm going to explain to you the 6 different types of guilt and what do you need to do with each of them. The first type is the constructive guilt. This is the guilt that is helpful. When we make a mistake, when we hurt somebody else, we feel guilty. And this guilt is letting us know that we did something to hurt somebody else or a mistake. It's letting us know that we need to say we're sorry, make amends, take responsibility, accept the consequences of what we did. And we need to do this with gentleness, loving to ourselves. Because we're human beings. We're not perfect. We make mistakes. But it's through these mistakes that often we're able to learn, to grow, to become a better person. So with this guilt, we need to understand that it's there to help us because we cannot live alone. We live connected to others. So it's helping us be a better person and to be able to have better relationships. So we need to say thank you to this guilt. Once we have learned, once we have said we're sorry, make amends if possible, once we have accepted the consequences, then we say thank you, and then we release that guilt. The second type of guilt is the ancestral guilt. And this is the guilt that we carry for our ancestors. If they hurt somebody else and they were not responsible for that or the consequences, we, the descendants, might be carrying their guilt and feel guilty even though we haven't done anything wrong. Even though it is not our guilt, it will still limit us. So with this guilt, we need to realize that we're carrying this guilt and release it because it is not our responsibility. And this is what we do in the Family Constellations modality. We're working with emotions that we unconsciously carry for our ancestors and release them because they can block us from all that we want to do in life. So that is the second type of guilt. The third type of guilt is the imposed guilt. This is the guilt that our caretakers, often our parents, used when we were young if they wanted to manipulate us. So they made us feel guilty if we didn't do what they wanted us to do. Maybe they wanted us to take care of our siblings and not go to the party that we wanted to go as teenagers, and made us feel that it was our responsibility, that we needed to because we're part of the family and it is our responsibility to take care of our younger siblings, and made us feel guilty if we didn't. It also happens, for example, with grown-ups. Maybe somebody wants me to give them my car for something that they need and I can't because I need it for somebody else, something else. And then they tell me, but I've helped you so many times in different ways. You should be a good friend. You're not grateful. So they're making me feel guilty so that they get what they want. And yes, it is important to give back in different ways to others. But when others are using the guilt to manipulate us, we need to recognize it so that we go back to our center and connect to the truth of what we want to do in that moment without the manipulation. And let go of that guilt because we're not doing anything wrong. They're just making us feel guilty so that we do what they want us to do. But that guilt, we just need to recognize it and release it. The fourth type of guilt is the separation guilt. And this is the guilt that we have from the moment that we were born that keeps us from leaving our family system. If we leave our family system, we're not going to survive. So we're going to do things the way they do it. And if we start doing things differently, we're going to feel guilty. So for example, a silly example, maybe everybody in my family system has the green shirt. And I've always wore the green shirt. What happens in the teenage years is that we start to become independent. So what if I bring suddenly a yellow shirt? Everybody's like, oh, we don't do yellow, we do green. What are you doing? And I'm going to feel guilty because I'm doing it a different way. So this guilt has been the guilt that protected us when we were young so that we would stay in the family system, so that we would be taken care of and we would survive. So how does this look as grown-ups? When we try to do something different from the system, from the group. If I am the first one that's going to have a divorce in the family, I'm going to feel guilty. If I want to study music and everybody else in the family has studied law, I'm going to feel guilty that I'm not doing it the same way. When I'm trying to do things in a different way that the group does not accept, I'm going to start feeling that guilt because I'm doing it in a different way. So this guilt, we need to recognize it and realize that is the separation guilt, the guilt that protected us when we were young. And we need to realize that now we're adults and we can make our own decision. We don't need our parents to approve of our decisions to survive. So we're able to make our own decisions and let go of this guilt. According to what is the situation, sometimes it's going to be hard to make those decisions, and sometimes we're not going to be able to. So, for example, when I said that, maybe I want to get a divorce and I'm the first one in the family, if I'm not going to have the support of my partner, if I'm not going to have the support of my family because they said, I'm not going to talk to you again if you divorce, because that's terrible, and I have small children, I'm not able to survive. So I might not be able to make that decision at that moment. However, I can start making a plan to what I really want and how to make it work, and recognize that guilt and still say thank you and release it. And realize that you're staying not because of the guilt, but because in that moment you don't have a choice. So that is the fourth type of guilt, the separation guilt. The first one is the constructive, the second one is the ancestral, the third one is the imposed, and this is the fourth one, the separation. The fifth type of guilt is the survival guilt. And you've probably heard this before. It happens when, for example, there's an accident and everybody dies and one person survives. They feel guilty because others were not able to live. They feel miserable. Sometimes they go into a depression for a long time. They don't allow themselves to enjoy life because they feel this guilt of surviving when others didn't. It happens with war as well, with the ones that survived. It happens as well in the family system when there has been a lot of suffering and we're doing okay. We feel guilty to enjoy our lives because others so close to us are suffering so much. This happened, for example, in COVID, when a lot of people were so happy to be at home with their kids, with their partner, and felt guilty that so many others were suffering so much. So they limit their happiness because of that guilt. This is all different types of survival guilt. So with this guilt, we need to realize that what we have is a gift. We have a better situation. So to honor and respect those that don't, we need to enjoy our life. We need to say thank you to this opportunity. And remember, we're all connected. So more suffering does not help anybody. But if we have more joy, we connect with more life, with a higher vibration of happiness. That helps everyone. So this is what we need to do with survival guilt. Realize that we got a gift for whatever reason. So to honor those that didn't, and to be grateful for this guilt and to be actually able to help others, I'm going to enjoy my life. I'm going to give myself permission. Even though others do not have that opportunity, I do. And I'm going to take advantage of that opportunity. The last type of guilt is the collective guilt. I talked about the first one, the constructive, the second one, the ancestral, the third one, the imposed, the fourth one, the separation, the fifth one, the survival guilt, and now this was number 6, the collective guilt. So this is the guilt that we feel when we're part of the community, part of a group, part of a country that is hurting somebody else. And even though we completely disagree with what's going on, we still feel guilty because we're part of that community. So, what happened, for example, with the war of Russia and Ukraine, there were a lot of people in Russia that did not agree with the war, that were not doing anything to hurt others, but they felt guilty because the community, Russia, the country, was hurting others. So, when we feel this guilt, what we need to do is first realize that we're not the ones that are hurting others. However, what I've noticed is to really release this guilt, we need to do something to help the community that's being hurt. And that, what you need to do, you need to decide according to what you're able to do. Maybe you're able to give money so that they are able to help the ones that are going to a different place. Maybe you're able to help in a different way and be more active. Or maybe what you're able to do is just a prayer. Even just a prayer, it is helpful. And it is going to let us release this guilt that is not ours and not our responsibility. But we're able to release it once we do something to help the ones that are being hurt. So these are all the different types of guilt. I hope this was helpful and it helps you understand guilt better and release the guilt that is not yours, or that it is yours and it is not helpful anymore because you already learned the lesson, so that you're able to connect to your life, to enjoy it, to really be able to be in the present moment and live your life fully with love, with abundance, with health, with joy, with success. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out.